What post-secondary education have you received? What has your career path been since you graduated post-secondary? And what do you like most about your job?
I'm a student at the University of Toronto. I'm studying engineering science. I am doing my co-op year right now at a company called Qualcomm, doing hardware engineering. I enjoy my job. It's a good experience that's like complementary definitely to what I've taken in university.
I'll be entering my final year of environmental engineering up at the U of A in the fall. I'm doing a summer student position currently. I've returned to a company that I previously was a summer student at. They're called Stantec. They are a consulting company, and I'm quite enjoying it. It gives me a bit of analytical and technical side of engineering and my previous experience in the field.
I graduated from the University of British Columbia with a Bachelor of Applied Science in Chemical Engineering 11 years ago. I also had summer internships with an oil and gas company based out of Calgary called Encana. And I was fortunate enough to receive a full-time position from them after I graduated. So about 5 years, I moved to Blackline Safety. So I started at Blackline Safety as a sales engineer, technical sales. I'm now the vice president of sales enablement for Blackline Safety. I've always loved helping people and I've loved solving problems. Engineering is really all about problem solving. In my job today, I get to be really creative with how I go about solving those problems, and I get to work with really great, intelligent, passionate people every day.
I graduated from the University of Alberta with a degree in mechanical engineering. I joined a company called Nova Gas Transmission Limited, evolved in that job ultimately to become a manager of a department accountable for $400 million worth of transactions per day. A team of about 95 people. And then very quickly, because I had a background in the company in different operational aspects, I started to work on mergers and acquisitions and effectively became an internal consultant inside a Fortune 500 company. And then very quickly, as my career at TransCanada Energy came to an end, and I shifted more to what I would call my sunset career, I became an instructor at SAIT, and then that evolved to becoming the academic chair for the petroleum portfolio at SAIT today. I like most about my job, ultimately, I have a high degree of influence on many different people. I feel like I'm making a difference, and that's why I get up every day.
What courses should I take in high school so I can go into engineering?
Your math 30-1, calculus, English, chemistry, and physics. It's also important to branch out and make sure you understand other things. So communication is a big part. So let's say you're someone who maybe did drama in high school. I was a drama kid in high school, and I also really enjoyed social studies. So that kind of helped transitioning to my summer work to have an understanding of those social issues and make that those systems are working for the people as opposed to kind of conflicting with that. So it's important to ensure that you can communicate with regular everyday people because those are the people you are helping out as an engineer.
What is job security like for engineers in general?
When you're focused on only one thing, there's always a risk that a company may determine that they have an overabundance of that specific skill set, and that's where the risk comes in. However, if you have, say, 5 or 6 different skill sets, and you've grown them over time, and you're seen as a person who grooms themselves and takes advantage of learning opportunities, ultimately, they'll create the job security that that people are looking for.
Can you share your experience and insights on finding an internship in engineering? Was it challenging? Did networking play a significant role?
I would say yes, networking did play a role, especially as a first-year student, because you don't have as many courses under your belt, and generally, like, you are competing against people who have them and who have sort of upper years who are in the same field as you. But having talked to a couple of my professors and just kind of reached out, said what my interests were, they were able to connect me with someone who ultimately gave me a job. After that, in my second year, through my university, they have a program for summer research where you apply for the grant and then if you get approved for it and you have a professor who's willing to support you in that research, you can do that for the summer. So that's what I did in the second summer. And then after that, I did another research term just with someone who I'd worked with on the previous project the summer before. And then now for my current position, which is a year-long co-op, so it's a bit different. Because U of T has such a structured co-op program, it made the process of actually finding that position a lot easier. So they have a portal that I could just go into and apply for a bunch of jobs that I thought were interesting. And then the recruiters would connect with us, we'd do the interviews, and then you would get an offer, or I guess not get an offer. My own experience was pretty positive in that they were available and I was obviously able to secure one. But if you don't, just stick with it. And honestly, like, there was the summer after COVID happened, I actually lost the research position that I had and ended up just working at a random like work study job at the university. And I had so much fun that summer and took a lot away that while it wasn't directly associated with my engineering degree, I still keep it with me now, like in terms of leadership and just those soft skills that you don't often prioritize as much.
Some of the pros and cons of engineering, just in your general experience.
I'll start with the cons, I guess. For me, I did find it to be a tough degree and challenging. And I was somebody that didn't really need to study all that much in high school, which was great at the time, but I didn't learn how to study properly. So I really went into university not really knowing how to do those things. So I learned over the years how to do it and what worked for me. And there was a time about halfway through my degree as well that I wondered if it was the right thing for me. So if you do come across that and feel that way, it's normal. I felt it. But then I got my first job in an engineering related field and I was like, okay, there is a lot of potential here. There is a lot of opportunity to do a bunch of different things. You're going to get such a diverse skill set and you'll work with a lot of different people that you'll learn from. I learned from so many different people and not all of them are engineers. I learned a lot from the operators that I worked with when I was a production engineer. They helped me out so much, even though I was in the technical role. So I guess the pros of it is that it's going to provide a lot of opportunity, open a lot of doors.
Are engineering courses typically more expensive compared to other fields of study? And what funding opportunities or scholarships are available?
With a full course load can equate anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 by the end of your degree. To kind of offset some of that cost, as Andrea mentioned, there are scholarships you can look at. If you stay in Alberta, the provincial government will also offer some scholarships. One scholarship I took advantage of coming right out of high school was the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship. Obviously mentioned before, some scholarships might require references or super high grades or nominations and things like that. So do be aware of that. And there are also grants provided by the government as well. So do be sure to do your research. There are opportunities to help you out fund your education.
What I found really helpful for me was just taking on different types of communications type projects. When I was in university, I joined Toastmasters, and it was all about being able to communicate and work with other people. And it's other people from all kinds of disciplines, backgrounds, and ultimately your influence comes from how you engage with them. There's a whole other element, and that is working with other people, whether you're leading with them or being part of a team, and having communication skills and presentation skills, and just being able to work with all of different types of personalities is very critical.
I know I'm young, so maybe I don't know if I'm yet in a position to say that it will all turn out okay, but I feel like it will, because I definitely didn't know a couple of years ago. I definitely didn't know in grade 12. And I think it's crazy that we sort of expect people to, but from what I hear, it's okay to shift paths. And even if I do a career in electrical engineering now, who knows where I will end up in many years.
So from like a job perspective, if you're at a summer job or you're eventually in industry, engage with different engineers and people with different experience levels and different backgrounds. I've had the wonderful pleasure of talking to transportation engineers, environmental engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers. It's important to really engage with all different disciplines within engineering as well as outside, just to hear those different experiences and get advice from people who are at different stages of life, so you can figure out what works best for you. I think one thing you'll figure out very quickly in university is that failure occurs. And for some people who might have coasted through high school, your first experience of failure at an educational level will likely happen in university. I myself, in my first year, I nearly got kicked out of my engineering program because I did not have the grades to stay in there. And it took me about 3 years before I finally found my footing. But I eventually did. So I wouldn't say failure is not what it is at face value. There's something to learn from it. It helps you be a better person, because when you're successful, you kind of fall into this trap of, oh, I'm doing well at this, I just have to keep doing the same thing. Whereas when you fail, you have to explore and figure out what works for you, whether that be from a study perspective or making sure that you're not just doing just school all the time, finding that balance between life and school and having time to do those extracurricular things.
I think the most important thing is to do a really good job of the thing that's in front of you right now. It's really easy to be, get caught up in, oh, I should be here because I worked here for this many years, or, oh, I want to be this person, and this, this person's career path was X, so I should follow exactly the same way. And it's not always going to be like that. It's going to be different for everybody. And so the advice I always give is do a really good job at the thing that's in front of you right now.
Life happens while you are planning to develop the perfect plan. And I think if you attack everything with some enthusiasm, you would be amazed what comes your way. You can't plan for it. It's just a matter of being open to those opportunities. I can't emphasize enough that, as Andrea was saying, is do a really good job of what's in front of you immediately, and be open to the opportunities that will unfold. It is a fantastic adventure. And one that doesn't really end. There is no final destination. It just continues. And I often joke, and this is a true story with people I know, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. And so that is very much what it can be for you.